Here today with Alison and Steffanie from Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association. They're talking about their passion and what they're doing to build the trails out by 3 Mile Smile.
Yeah, my name is Steffanie Gray, and I am a director with Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful. And I'm also the assistant league director with NICA Nevada South, which is a student-based mountain biking league.
I'm Alison Cormier. I'm the vice president and secretary of the Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association. I'm also the team director of the Wildebeest, which is a composite team within the Nevada South Interscholastic Cycling Association, which is part of NICA, which is the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. that was a lot of mouthfuls.
Yes,
right?
that was a lot. Yeah, a lot of acronyms. But that's how my wife Shannon is, right? Like she's like, okay, him on the trails is much safer than him even riding
on the roads.
Yeah.
Well, I used to ride road bikes all the time. I mean, I did triathlons for 10 years. So I was doing a ton of road cycling. But like we've been talking about, so many people have been not only injured but killed. I'm just like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm giving up the road cycling and sticking to the dirt.
It's neat to see all the plans, though, to really get a good link together, path for road cycling, though. And you see it happening with the city, the county. There's a lot of other organizations. Our organization with Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association more focuses on the dirt aspect, but like the connectivities that they're really working for to get 110 miles all the way around the Vegas Valley Rim, plus tying in the Legacy Trail. It makes me happy to see that they are actually doing that to really get people off the road and provide a safer opportunity for those that are passionate about cycling.
Yeah, and the River Mountain Trail has been out there for years, and it's a huge success.
Yeah,
There's
it really
so many
is.
people that ride it, and
And so what we're working on, the Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association, we've got a number of different trail networks. Some are new. We're working on one new trail network around the campground in Red Rock Canyon.
Oh, really?
Completely new mountain bike trails.
Yeah.
And those will connect to the Legacy Trail, which will connect then to the Cowboy Trails, and then to Blue Diamond. I mean, so you could ride a mountain bike and ride from Summerlin and go ride around the campground trails, go take a short hop back onto the paved Legacy Trail, and if you want to ride the Cowboy Trails, they're a little more technical.
Yeah.
But you could ride all the way to Blue Diamond and then ride those trails
on the dirt. And so remind me where the camping ground is for the Red Rock. That's outside of the
It's right
actual
between
park,
Calico. Or
it's across from Calico Basin, basically.
Yeah.
So it's actually you can kind of connect to these trails from Bear's Best as well. So I don't know how familiar you are with the mountain bike trails on the west side of town, since you live.
Yeah, we ride a lot of McCullough and Bootleg, but this past summer we tried to do the Big Wilson. Okay. Where we started in Blue Diamond, headed into town, and then rode along those trails that go along Fort Apache up there.
So that's like Southwest Ridge.
Southwest Ridge
Yes.
then connects to Bear's Best.
And we also have a project over there as well. The campground's 16 new miles of trail, which we're really excited about it.
And this is all BLM land, right?
Yeah, it's all a lot of that, especially from the campground all the way through over to Blue Diamond. That's all in the National Conservation Area. And so we have the campground project that'll sanction also all the cowboy trails, what people call the cowboy trails. BLM refers to as Blue Diamond Hill. And then we are also doing a project up by 3 Mile Smile, where we are doing an uphill connector. We're doing a couple reroutes on Dead Horse just to make that a little more flowy. There's a couple spots that just the trail's cupped out and it just doesn't ride real well, and it doesn't maintain real well, so we're going to try to pull it up on some contours. And then once you get to the top of 3 Mile at the bench, we're doing what we term it the backcountry trail. So it'll has a little up to the lookout.
We're gonna have to come up with a good name.
I know
for
we
that
really
trail.
do.
Yeah. And who is it that comes up with the names anyway?
It's the trail builders.
The trail builders.
So
And
since this is our trail, we get to name it.
Being that it'll be it is within BLM, there are probably going to be a few restrictions, but the backcountry goes basically the east side of 3 Mile, and it drops down where the switchbacks come off of Badger. So it's in total it's almost 11.5 miles of new trail or reroute. I guess some of it's reroute, but
yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
11 miles. Like, what does that entail? Building out 11 miles of trail.
Well, cost-wise, so in order to build trails, you first have to plan them, and planning trails can cost $1,000 a mile.
And is that because of the involvement with the BLM and getting the permits from the BLM?
Well, and it's a lot of walking, it's a lot of flagging.
It's a lot of physical effort.
On the 3 Mile, I mean, we've put in 100 hours.
I don't know how many hours we've put in
I've walked so many miles up there.
You know, and then
trying
if you're
to figure out where
hiring
it's going, flagging
a professional trail builder, they have to make a little money, right? And they have equipment and
and then
skills,
you've got the mapping
their
and all
own
of
skills,
that,
like
insight planning,
mapping. So there's a lot of work that goes into building a trail that people don't realize, and so it's just $1,000 a mile for planning. But now when you start talking about building them, you're looking at $30,000 to $50,000 a mile.
To build a trail out in the middle of the desert.
Yes. So if you start putting in features, just add on to the cost. Now you're talking $50,000 to $80,000 a mile.
And I'm just trying to figure out how the cost is, right? Because we're out in McCullough, and I understand that a lot of the trails in McCullough aren't approved by BLM land.
Right.
Yep. And so it's just a lot of kids out there with
out there
shovels
building,
but the trails are great.
So I suppose there is the opportunity or the option that you could go out on volunteer hours alone and build some of these trails.
But the risk with that is the landowner gonna, if it's a private landowner, are they gonna just build over it, which is what's happening out at Bears Best. There's a lot of trails that were built on land owned by the Howard Hughes Corporation. Well, guess what? They're finally now getting around to developing that land, so these trails are just disappearing. Or if you're building it in McCullough, a lot of those trails are within the Sloan Canyon National Conservation Area, where they're not allowed.
Right.
So there was a battle going on for a while between the BLM and the mountain biking community, because they were building so many trails, and the BLM was trying to say, stop, let's talk about this and work together.
And let's do it the right way, because there is a protocol for that, especially in a national conservation area, because not only is there the planning of the trail, but then there's the environmental or NEPA surveys that need to be done to make sure you're not, harming cultural sites, the horticulture, and then wildlife. So, and that is a process, and that is also something our organization has done, because we have an MOU with BLM, so we can act as a third party to complete those surveys for them. Which
an MLU.
An MOU, so a memorandum of understanding.
Okay.
So that allows us to come in as a third party and either raise the money via grants, so we either sponsors, fundraising. We've applied for some grants that we've been very fortunate to receive, and so we can utilize that to kind of assist BLM in the process, because depending on the area, they don't necessarily have a lot of funding to get that going, and or it's not necessarily the priority, because BLM deals with a lot of other things, fire, solar. I mean, they have a lot more going on than just building trail. But I think trails are so important for outdoor rec here, and Southern Nevada is kind of on the map right now for being this neat, newfound outdoor recreation area. We're just a little behind the times. All of them are not sanctioned trails, so that's kind of what
the majority of them are
exactly. And so that's kind of what our organization has been trying to do all along, is one, get trails that are built sanctioned, so then we can go out and rightfully maintain them.
And hold events on them.
Exactly, and then we can do NICA events.
That's
we
the
can
big
do
thing,
races.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
we're actually working with Clark County Are you familiar with where they're putting in the Southwest Ridge Bike Skills Park?
It's just right there off of Blue Diamond, right?
It's Fort Apache.
It's up a little bit, yes.
It's kind of by the Wet and Wild, or I guess
right
now
by
it's
Fess.
Cowabunga.
Yeah, it's kind of right by Fess Middle School.
And that's on private land or
it's
county
county.
land.
It's county land.
It's county.
Yeah. Which is a lot easier to deal with.
So we put we put the county in touch with a trail builder from Reno who came out and walked this whole area that's adjacent to where the Bike Skills Park is going in, and he put in a concept plan for 22 miles of new trails that are going to be at the base of Southwest Ridge, but then they're going to connect up to the top of Southwest Ridge and then continue along the top of the ridge to Bear's Best.
So that'll be the connectivity, that'll continue the connectivity around Blue Diamond Hill. So you will be able to go from Southwest Ridge through Bear's Best up to the campground, out to Calico, and or over to the Cowboys, across the highway to Blue Diamond, all the lower Cottonwood. So it'll be just a whole interconnecting network.
And part of that project is intended to be a NICA venue.
Yes.
The Skills Park itself with the trails that are linked to it.
Well, the trails that will be linked to it will have a NICA venue.
So we'll be able to host one of our NICA races there.
The parking and the pit area. You know, because it's more than just the trails for a NICA event, as you know.
Yeah, the parking.
The parking was rough. Last weekend was rough.
Oh, yeah.
It was so rough.
Everybody was double parked, at least double parked, right? Yeah, and the Skills Park, they're a lot of fun up in Caliente where NICA, Southern Nevada NICA, does the organization. After the race, the kids will go down there, and it's fun seeing.
Yeah, we have a place there. I love Caliente. We spend a lot of time out there. They are building 16 new miles in Pioche, which is just about 30 miles up from there too. So it's just neat to see all this mountain bike trail just.
There's a lot in the planning stages. It's just, getting it to actually being built is just a question of finding the funding.
It is. It's
because $30,000 a mile, I would have never considered because
incredibly
people realize
expensive.
It is
incredibly. Because if you're talking a professional trail builder, they have the equipment. We're talking heavy equipment. They have the training that they have to go through. They have to pay salaries, right? And they have to have insurance. I mean, there's all the normal costs related to a business that they have to account for when they're pricing these projects.
How much of that $30,000 just is dealing with regulations, whether or not it's environmental regulations or just the paperwork just dealing with the BLM?
So a lot of the I personally with a lot of the BLM stuff, that actually even happens before you go out and start constructing the trail, because that's your planning phase, that's your environmental phase, that's all having to go out and walk and do all those surveys depending on what they find. They have radiuses if they find a nest or some kind of species that needs to be protected avoided, then you have radiuses, or so you have to be so far away from them. Sometimes it'll require a reroute, so there's a lot of upfront costs there. Once you get to the trail building, at that point you've kind of cleared the slate, and with them that where you're going, which route to go, but that even at that point, that $30,000 is really just out there shoveling and making and actually physically building the trail. So I guess if you really looked at it, it's probably more than $30,000 if you
include the BLM, the planning phase,
right? The planning phase for sure.
And one cost I didn't even mention, I said just the planning alone, it was $1,000 a mile. If it's on BLM land and you have to go through the NEPA process, now the surveys themselves to look for the cultural resources and the wildlife and the protected plant species, there's a number of things that they have to look for. Those surveys can be $1,000 to $2,000 a mile, just for those.
On top of the $1,000 that you already
planning, and then not even getting to the construction yet.
And then do you need someone on site during the construction, an agent from the BLM or?
Probably. We haven't got to that point yet, but I think, I mean, everything we do on BLM land, we typically have to have somebody there from the BLM. So yeah, I think that's going to be a requirement when we do actually get to the construction phase.
So a lot of work.
It
a
is
lot
a
of
lot of
money.
work.
Like why?
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. You know, I mean, building in a national conservation area is a lot different than just building in just BLM, you know, open space. The conservation aspect of it definitely gives you a few more hurdles than other areas, but I don't know. We're not giving up. It's also some of the prettiest areas to have trails like that. So it is not only conserving the area, but allowing an amazing outdoor rec opportunity in some of the most beautiful places.
Yeah, when you're out there mountain biking Blue Diamond ends, you're heading north, and to have that backdrop from the Red Rock
it's
conservation
wonderful.
area.
Well, and with the
beautiful.
Blue Diamond Hill, you get back there and it's like you don't even realize I mean, you can do a 360 and not even see the city, which is pretty profound in Las Vegas, in the desert. And the desert is just beautiful. So it's neat work. And, you know, for our organization where we are, you know, we've started planning this. We did one last year, planning this mountain bike festival, kind of as for multiple reasons, to bring awareness to what we're doing, kind of look at it as a fundraising event for our organization, but it'll also give exposure for people to be exhibitors, whether it's bike shops, manufacturers, components, you know, all of those things of the bike world, on top of demoing bikes and, you know,
well, and it's just an opportunity to get the whole cycling community to come together and you know, enjoy. And it's a mountain bike festival, but it's really cycling in general, because like we talked earlier, the road cyclists are out there enjoying Red Rock and Blue Diamond just as much as the mountain bikers do.
Yeah, it's like stepping back into time, right? You're riding your bike down the 159, you stop in Blue Diamond, just a little small town.
That's where I live.
Yeah, you have the little convenience store in there. And
they have the restaurant now too. It's the Cottonwood Station. It's just it's a neat place for sure. And
so a great place to have the event then.
Yeah, so we're planning the event November 1st and 2nd, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Chain Smoker race, the mountain bike race. That's one race that is held out in Blue Diamond. Hopefully with the events, we're still working right now on some logistics with that, but we're pretty confident that we're going to be combining those. So it'll be a Saturday, Sunday expo for the mountain bike the mountain bike festival with the race on Saturday. So, and then Sunday we'll have a lot of demos and group rides and things like that. So we are working on our webpage to get all the specifics up for exhibitors, attendees, you know, shuttle companies to get involved. So we're hoping it'll be a big success.
So I asked the question, but I don't think I got an answer, right? A lot of money and time, like what is it that has, I guess, inspired you or kind of it is driving you in that direction to say, okay, yes, I'm going to put in the time, I'm going to put in the money to make sure that these trails come up? Well,
just, you know, we love the experiences that we are able to get out there. And we need more, because as Las Vegas is growing, there's more and more people that are finding how great these experiences are. So trails are starting to get more people on them, which leads to more user conflicts. You know, a good example of that, of course, is the 3 Mile Smile. People love that for the downhill fun that it offers, but right now the only way to get to the top is to ride up it. So
which is kind of dangerous.
Very
dangerous. You've got people
yeah.
going up
and there's blind corners, which don't help. So that was our impetus to work with the BLM to create this uphill alternate option for people to use to get to the top of the 3 Mile Smile without riding on the 3 Mile Smile.
And the uphill travel with e-bikes. That's what I think is even more dangerous, because someone's heading down.
Right.
You anticipate if they're coming up, they're coming at a much slower pace.
Exactly.
But on the e-bikes, they're hauling up 3 Mile. It's crazy how quick
your
you can
reaction
get up.
time to
and
avoid
it's just
it.
a heavier bike, and it's so. And I think at some point we I'm not sure if this will end up happening, but almost making it a directional trail. So it's like the 3 mile is now just a downhill, because there are multiple options to get up that will just create a safer environment for those that want to ride it, because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's that little Red Canyon is so pretty up there.
Yeah. No,
but I think to answer about why we do it too is just the passion of mountain biking, you know, and you want to see this for your kids. It's so neat to see how fired up people are on outdoor rec these days, and the mountain bike community or cycling community is growing with leaps and bounds. So it's a really fun job to have. It's a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of work, but I don't know, I love doing it.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
We're both volunteers within the Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association, but I always say we get paid in the reward of making these things happen that we're able to enjoy, and like you said, we're able to pass down to the next generation and future generations.
Yeah, because we also, in all of that, our organization does a lot of trail stewardship. We do trail cleanups, we do trail maintenance. So we kind of hit the whole cycle of building, maintaining, and taking care of all of them, and you know, using them properly. So
yeah, part of that is the trail etiquette, right?
Yeah,
like teaching the kids,
absolutely.
You know, what do you do when you confront someone, or what do you do when you see wildlife that is come onto the trail, right?
Yeah, that's neat. It's neat being involved with the kids. I love doing NICA too.
Well, and NICA has the Teen Trail Corps program, which will get the kids out to teach them trail maintenance.
So they can go out and do trail maintenance.
Which will, you know, teach them to appreciate the effort that goes into building and maintaining these trails, that, you know, they're out there having a good time and generally not putting any thought into how that's possible when there's a lot of work that goes into making that possible. So if we get them out there helping with the trail maintenance, then they have a much better appreciation for what it is they're enjoying, and they learn to appreciate the environment more, and like you said, they learn the trail etiquette. So that's where NICA really is a great organization, is just what it's teaching the kids.
Well, and getting the word out with NICA too. We're a small league, but this year I think we had 160 athletes, and hopefully it just keeps growing. I have had a ton of fun being on staff with NICA, as well as coaching for one of the composite teams. So
yeah, and talking about NICA, you look at some surrounding states and the success that they have had in growing the program, because the focus is, there are some kids that are very competitive at it.
Yep.
But then, like, NICA has a party lap or a party. Yeah,
the party lap. We also do an adventure day, where normally that consists of some kind of a group ride. Families come out, and it's something for everybody. So, and it gives all these kids, whether they're into the racing or whether they're just wanting to try it out and they just want to get together and, you know, hang out with kids and bikes. I mean, our passion with NICA is just getting kids on bikes. So, and we actually have a great program. We have sponsorships. We have loaner bikes. Small as we are, I'm surprised what we can offer some families, because not all families mountain bike, and there are a lot that don't. I mean, I would say most of our kids in NICA now are predominantly in it because they probably have parents that mountain bike as well. But this year we had a big uptick in kids that had never ridden before and are out there doing well too. It's been really fun watching them grow. So. And
you're a coach with Wildebeest, which is a local team in kind of in that southwest area of Las Vegas.
Alison is actually the team manager of the Wildebeest.
Okay.
Yep, and I am one of the coaches, and then I'm the assistant league director for NICA.
So how do you see the growth, or what has helped the Wildebeest grow, and how do you see that the Wildebeest are going to grow in the future?
You know, one of the struggles I think in growing the league is getting in the schools, and we've really had a hard time figuring out how to get the Clark County School District to even meet with us about it. I think sometimes they have in their head that it's a very risky sport, which is, you know, through National and NICA they've done a ton of studies showing how mountain biking surprisingly has less injuries than most high school sports. So Christine Prescott, she's the director of NICA, her and I are really trying to take a push once we get through the season, which is almost about to end, on trying to figure out how we get in and do some pilots in some of our schools, because that's where you can really get families that aren't bikers, but they can go home and be like, hey mom, they've got this mountain bike team. I don't have to have a bike, I can rent it, they've got the gear, and we are set up to provide the coaching and all of it for the schools. So we're just fingers crossed that we get that foot in the door, and hopefully I think that'll grow it, because like in Utah they have over 7,000 kids in their NICA league, but they're in the schools, and it makes a big difference. BLM is also crushing it up there with outdoor rec too. So it's a big difference, but we're hoping we catch up here. Southern Nevada has a lot to offer. We just have a little catch up, and then hopefully we'll be
and I think it'll help too to be able to actually hold NICA events in town. So that people
be a little easier on families
in the area that may not be aware of NICA
can see it.
They'll see what's going on, and the kids will see it, and they'll think, it looks like fun. I want to do that too.
Yeah, this year they had the event down there at the south end of Las Vegas, and what a great venue. The parking was amazing.
I know. Right? That's what we're really looking for over at the Southwest Ridge, is having like that be like a prominent like first race start, and having it kind of be like home court for NICA. And then it will give us the opportunity to do maybe a couple races here, whether we add them on or just make it a little more convenient for families, because we have to travel, as you know, for most of our races, which is fun. That's neat about it too, because you kind of make a weekend of it, but that's not always that easy for families, especially when you have more than one kid.
Well, and that doesn't allow the opportunity to help grow the league. If you're just completely away from town, I mean, it might be fun for those who are already participating. But in order to try to help the league grow, you have to get the awareness out there.
We do need to probably do a couple more home races. So that's something on our list of considerations for next year too. So
and another thing I think we're trying to get more involved is the bike shops. I mean, if they would help put the word out, not only for NICA but for what Southern Nevada Mountain Bike Association is doing, I think that would help tremendously. So that's another part of our efforts with the Mountain Bike Festival, is to be working more with the bike shops to just get the whole community behind all of these cycling events, and to be putting the word out to get more families involved and more kids involved. Because I had
and that could be, I guess, at the point of sale, right? They're selling the bike and letting them know, there's a ton of places in the community, and that's actually what helped me become part of the community here in Las Vegas, was the cycling and the mountain biking. Because there is a really strong community, and it's easy to tap into.
But I used to say
you just run into somebody.
I used to say one of my best recruiters for the Wildebeest was one of our coaches, Adam. He worked at the Giant Shop that is in Mountain's Edge. And I mean, anytime somebody came in with a kid, he was telling them about NICA. And I don't know how many kids we had joined just because of him alone. I'm like, if we had all of the bike shops doing that.
That's probably that's a push that we need, because that's their future customers too. And those kids they start out on a bike, and they learn real quick that they're like, oh, I want that. And there's nothing cheap about a really good mountain bike.
I have no idea how much I spent with the bike shop for my son.
I always giggle about like how much money is invested in the quiver of bikes in my garage. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, because it's a great healthy sport. It's a great way to meet people, to hang out, and
they're outside getting exercise, fresh air, playing with their friends. I mean, it's so much better than having them sitting home in front of a video game.
I'd rather be on my bike every day than doing anything else. So
when I road cycled, there was a kid that came in. He was about 15, 16. He came in kind of a little bit bulky. And then he ended up slimming down, right? Stayed away from the video games, and now he's got his own shop. And it's so like, how do you get there, right? From who he was at 15, 16 years old to now, like, this has become his life.
And it's making it accessible, because not all kids have the availability, or they don't have the family dynamic that someone's going to go buy them a bike that they can go road cycle with. So it's neat to have that in. That's why I really want to see it get into the schools and start offering these kids some other opportunities too, because it's like I see with my kids in the school district, it's like peas just getting cut, everything's getting cut, like they just are not as active as they used to be, and it's a problem. And it's not, you want to see them out off the phones having fun. Every practice we have so much fun. I know. I mean, have you ever had a bad mountain bike ride? Even when you take a dismount?
Even a bad ride is
I had a good off Sunday.
Even a bad ride is a good ride.
I think I'll be picking cactus out of my leg for another week or so.
Yeah, no. Bikini wax.
Is that what works to pull out the cactus?
I've learned
that. Duct tape.
I've learned no duct tape. Bikini wax is what really will grab onto those, because I've learned that from experience. I had a big clump of the the cholla.
The cholla, yeah.
It was right there.
Yeah.
And so we're on the trail, and one of my girlfriends, she was trying to help pick it off, because I couldn't hardly.
Too.
And she's like getting it in her fingers, and so she finally got it off, and now it was stuck on her hand, and she couldn't get it.
I carry hemostats in my bag because of that, but no, and even when that stuff happens, you laugh about it and moving on.
It's an experience.
Well, thank you so much for coming in.
And then our mountain bike festival, we hope it's a huge success, November 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah,
it's a great venue.
We planned it last year Alison and I did it about 8 weeks, and everybody was pretty fired up on it.
And we didn't really even market it.
No, we didn't at all, and we had a great turnout. So
but it was great. The bike shops had a great day. I'm just looking forward to an even bigger and better event this year.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.